live for episode 7 of the Geeky Pastimes podcast, recording it live here on youtube.com/Geeky Pastimes. There have been a few little changes behind the scenes on this podcast. The biggest one is that this podcast is now available on all of the usual podcast services, or at least, it should be. It's definitely available on Spotify, and the episodes take a little while to kind of catch up and get propagated, but then you should be able to get it on like Google Play, on the Apple podcast thing, and on the others. Basically, there's like a set of podcast services, and they're all a little bit strange about how they work. But you should be able to find it wherever you listen to podcasts. So that is awesome. Obviously, audio only most of those places. You can actually watch the video on Spotify, because Spotify is kind of cool like that. But it is available in all of those places for free. All of that good stuff. So yeah, that's exciting for me. It's had 4 plays so far, so some people managed to find it without me really talking about it very much, which is very cool. In today's episode of the podcast, originally we were going to be talking about gaming handhelds, but that sounded a little bit dry, and one of the things I need to talk about is kind of a leak, so I don't really want to talk about that. I don't want to bring attention to leaks. So instead, we're going to be talking about, is Call of Duty saved? A lot of information came out about Call of Duty Season 3 yesterday. We're going to go through some of that. I did a video where I was talking about the stuff that affects DMZ a lot more. But today, we're kind of going to have a quick look at the stuff that's being offered for multiplayer, for gunfight, and for Warzone. And then we will also talk about DMZ as well, and sort of have a bit more of a rambly, long-form thoughts on the topic, rather than, the tightly edited video that I put out. I also want to talk a little bit about the Mario movie. I went to go see that yesterday morning. God, it feels like ages ago. But that was yesterday morning. And then there's a couple of other little bits and pieces we might talk about on the way. But good morning to everyone that's come in. So as a reminder, you can come see this podcast being recorded live. It's 9 a.m. most weekdays, unless I'm doing something. That will happen from time to time. There will be times when it's not going on. If you ever want to see when the next episode of the podcast is being filmed, just check out my YouTube channel, go to the live bit, and it will tell you when the next one's scheduled for. So I went to go see Mario yesterday morning. No podcast while that's happening. And, over the next couple of weeks, I might be doing a couple of bits and pieces. I'm going to go to the Pokemon Championships next week. So there's a chance I might not be about on one morning on Friday morning, but we'll see. And then, I go on holiday occasionally. I go to theme parks, and we tend to go during the week. So we'll see how it's going. Anyway, this is a lovely day. I'm really excited today. Partly because, wonderful podcast coming up. We also have a stream straight after this where I'm going to be playing some DMZ with Flynn and the Broken Machine. Haven't really played much DMZ with other people yet, so other than Flynn and Scotto. So that's going to be exciting. That stream will literally just start as soon as this one ends. But also, it's sunny. I'm wearing a tropical shirt. I really enjoyed wearing these tropical shirts last summer. I got them for the first time last year, I think. Maybe the year before. And I'm wearing shorts. And it's shorts weather has begun in the UK, which is awesome. I wore shorts when I went for a run the other day. But now I can just sort of lounge around in shorts and it's not uncomfortable. Which I'm just so happy about. I hate wearing jeans. I love wearing shorts. It's really, really good. Afa's just said in the chat, do I have a URL or an RSS feed for us podcast weirdo using Overcast? I think I should be on Overcast. I did do all the sign up for Overcast. So it should be a thing. It should be on there, basically, is what I'm saying. But I don't know how I find it. I'll have a look for you while we're talking. I can multitask. So before we get into Call of Duty, because I'm sure that's the thing that's going to run on forever, let's talk a little bit about the Mario movie. I went to go see that yesterday morning. For people who don't know me and when I'm going to see films, I would say I'm fairly easily pleased with movies. But also, I seem to dislike a lot of stuff that lots of people like. Within the gaming community especially, I seem to be a bit out of step with them. I suppose like I am with Call of Duty a lot of the time. I seem to like stuff that other people don't. Just for a point of reference, I didn't think John Wick 4 was very good at all. I thought Dungeons & Dragons was pretty good. I liked that a lot. That was fun. Too long, but fun. And then the Mario and the MCU films, the Avengers films. I don't think the Avengers films have been very good for a long time. I think it's been the old standout like Shang-Chi I thought was really, really good. But there's not been many of the MCU films that I thought were really, really good for a long time. So I get a bit bored of like just stuff that's just action, and I get a bit bored of stuff where it's like stuff that I've just seen before and things like that. So with all of that in mind, my review of the Mario movie is it's good. It's a good film. It's not like an amazing film. It's not a film that you need to desperately rush out and see. Although I would say I think there's a fairly good chance that every fun little reference in that is going to get horrifically spoiled by like IGN and Eurogamer and thumbnails and stuff like that. Like there's so many a lot of the joy of the Mario movie really is all about kind of it's all about the references. It's all about the, hey, I recognize that. That's a fun thing. And, there's little musical things where the music in the background, you'll be like, oh, I recognize that little melody in the background. Or there'll be like a little background gag, or there'll be a line in it, where it's just like some fun reference. It's a bit like that Family Guy style of humor where it's like, not necessarily the jokes themselves are funny, but like that you understand them is the thing that brings you some joy. There's a lot of that. And a lot of them are, kind of surprising. You're kind of like, oh, I can't believe they did that. Or like, whoa, that's a deep cut. And I think a lot of that stuff is just going to end up appearing as like YouTube thumbnails and like news headlines. That was already happening a little bit before the movie came out. And I imagine it will continue. So that if that's the sort of thing that you like, it might be worth going to see it if you want to have that sort of stuff surprised for you. I'm not going to spoil anything in here. I'm not going to talk about any specific bits. But yeah, the film was good. It's definitely like 100% a kid's film. And from the criticism I've read of the film online from like normal people, not film critics so much, but just from normal people, a lot of it seems to evolve around people not really understanding that this is like 100% a kid's film. It is a film for kids. It's like if you went to the cinema to go see the Minions movie, or you went to go to the cinema to go see whatever the new Pixar movie is. Like, you go in with an expectation that this is a kid's film, but hopefully if it's good, there's going to be stuff in it for you. And, if you like the franchise and stuff like that, there's stuff that you're going to enjoy. And it's like, I think if you go in with that mindset, then you'll like it. Like, then you'll enjoy it. We were in a theatre that had loads of kids in it because it's Easter holidays right now in the UK. There were a bunch of kids in there, properly like, 4 or 5-year-old kids. And they seem to be having a great time. They seem to be absolutely loving it. And I think that's who it's really designed for. But it's got lots of little references for like Nintendo fans as well. And I think that's absolutely fine. The story itself, not massively interesting, but it's fine. As with every film I think I've seen in the last 5 years, it's about half an hour too long. It could be shorter. There's stuff that they could have cut out and it would have still been just as good. I genuinely think all films. I was talking to my wife while we were walking away from the cinema, being like, I think one thing that, if ever I've missed my calling in life, if ever I've like really missed my opportunity to make a difference in this world, I should have started a service where filmmakers come to me with their finished movies, their fully edited movies, and I remove half an hour from it. I just tell them where you can be like, you can literally lose this, and this, like these scenes, and your movie will still make perfect sense. And it will still be just as good in all of the ways that you want it to be, but they will be gone. And it's just like, I can't remember the last film I saw where I don't think that would have been possible, where I don't think you could have removed half an hour. Something like John Wick, you could have just literally trimmed every like fight scene down by like 80% and it would have been the exact same movie. But it wouldn't have been 3 hours long, which would have been nice. So yeah, Mario, good film, not like the best film ever, but a good film, slightly too long, very much a kid's film, but it's, it's a fun time. It looks really good. Like, I thought the animation and I don't know what you'd call it, the graphics of the film, like, that seems weird. But that's all really good. Like, looks awesome. My wife was comparing it to Detective Pikachu, which I think is fair. I think there's a little bit less of a substantial story than Detective Pikachu had. I personally preferred this to Detective Pikachu because I think Detective Pikachu, after about the first half, kind of gets really tedious. Seeing all of the Pokemon for the first time is fun, and then when it gets into the story, I don't care anymore. Which, again, is kind of how I feel about nearly every film. I like discovering a new world with these sort of fantasy, sci-fi, whatever films, but I don't really care about the story often. but she preferred Detective Pikachu to this, so take that for what it's worth. But she does like Pokemon more than Mario, so you never know. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was a lot of fun. And speaking of things that are fun, see, here's my segues that are going really well. Call of Duty Season 3 has been revealed, sort of. So for context, for people who haven't been keeping up with all of this stuff, because I am always surprised. I've always just been someone who follows gaming news. You know, I used to read gaming magazines when my parents could afford to get me them back in the day. And then, you know, I used to watch gaming TV shows when that used to be a thing. And then when the internet became a bigger thing, I'd like follow forums and follow websites and stuff like that. I've always been I'm always quite into the news. You know, if you look at my Twitter follows, like 60% of them are just video game accounts. You know, as in actual their own accounts and keep up with what's going on. But what's been happening with Call of Duty, lots of people don't do that. Lots of people, loads of people, I would say, who are really into Call of Duty, I'll talk to them and they'll have no idea that something's been announced. They'll have no idea that something's coming out. And like, I kind of envy those people in a way. I think I get too wrapped up into it. It's not just me that doesn't know how to spell segue. Thank you, Matt. Sorry, Matt Hames in chat just spelled segue the way that I've been spelling it for years. And as someone with an English degree who was an English teacher for 13 years, I was shocked when, like, last year or something, I found out how you actually spell segue. So thank you, Matt. You have completely made me feel better about the fact that I didn't know how to spell it. Anyway, yeah, so Season 3, Call of Duty. So what happened on, not yesterday, the day before, on Wednesday, they revealed a little short trailer for Season 3. And the first part of it was boring. It's just, you know, Alejandro and Valeria going through environments, basically. Like, and there was a load of animals. I don't know, it was a bit weird. But it wasn't like, you know, anything that really told you anything about the game. It was just like, hey, this is the season of Alejandro and Valeria. Fine, fair enough. And then at the end of it, they had like a load of things flash up. And that was really exciting because it was like, you know, gunfight, cranked, plunder, Warzone ranked, Black Cell. And everyone's like, well, first of all, Warzone ranked. Wow, that's amazing. And we'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. But then also Black Cell. What on earth is Black Cell? And they knew what they were doing. It was like the last thing on screen was like Black Cell. No other explanation. They put it alongside all of the other modes, you know. They put it after Warzone ranked. You know, it's like Plunder, Warzone ranked, Black Cell. They didn't mention anything to do with DMZ in that whole trailer. And I think a lot of people, including me, were like, oh my God, you know, what's Black Cell gonna be? What's going on with Black Cell? This sounds like it could be something exciting. And I was literally thinking, like, is it gonna be another mode? Are we gonna have like Battle Royale, Plunder, DMZ, and then Black Cell? Like, is it something else? I was thinking, is it like a solo mode for DMZ? Something like that. I had loads of ideas about what it could be. Turns out it's nothing. It's not very exciting at all. But yeah, so then yesterday we had a creators call. So this is something that they've been doing for a year, where every time there's a season update, then, and sometimes in the mid-season updates as well, then they do like a quick call where there's like a bunch of the people who work on the game. So normally, you know, people like Ted Timmons, who's creative director for Raven, Stephanie Snowden, who sorts out a lot of that stuff. She does communications, I think, for Infinity Ward. And then, you know, some of the other people, some of the community managers and people like that, they come onto a call and there's a bunch of creators in there and they just do a presentation to us about all of the stuff that's coming out. Well, not all of it normally, actually. I'm always kind of surprised that they talk as if it's all of it. And then when the blog posts come out, there's stuff that they didn't mention. And that, again, has happened with this time. And then, you know, they just basically give us a bit more of a heads up on like the a lot of the time it's like the reasoning for things. A lot of the time it's like them saying, hey, we're like doing this because we're focused on this, or we're doing this because we're trying to do this, or we're doing this because we did this and it didn't work so well. Like, that's the kind of vibe. It's not like, oh, we're going to tell you what's happening in season 6, like blah blah blah. It's like not that kind of thing. It's very much like, hey, you're going to get the patch notes, you're going to get the blog post. We're going to go through some of the like headlines of that and give you a little bit more context. And it's really useful. I really like it. It means I can make better videos about the updates and stuff like that. So we had that creator call. Basically, all of that's embargoed until when they kind of announce the stuff. So, you know, when there's blog posts or when there's the patch notes. So we can't talk about a lot of that stuff until it's properly announced. But, you know, it's only like a week until the actual season comes out, so you're not going to be waiting long to find out all of that stuff. And then they also released the blog post and the roadmap yesterday, kind of while we were on the call, which was a bit strange. And then they released some extra little bits of information. They released a separate thing for Gunfight, and they released a separate thing for Black Cell, talking about that and like a little trailer for it. And I think there was another little season 3 trailer as well that showed off a couple of bits. So there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. I'm not going to talk about any of the stuff that I can't talk about. Obviously, I am weirdly, almost cultishly adherent to embargoes and stuff like that. So I don't want to mess it up. I know it's kind of amazing that I get invited to these creator calls. Most people on them are like huge creators. I just am very charming and weasel my way into them. But I don't want to mess up anything like that. So I'm not going to give away any hints or anything like that. Don't come looking for that sort of stuff. But we can talk about the stuff that's happening. So we have the roadmap, first of all. And I can whack this up on the screen, I think. If I... Oh, that's strange. I did have a load of profiles set up. Oh, there. So if I do this and then I go... Boop. That should work, but I don't know. Yeah, there we go. It did work. That's weird. Sorry, it just wasn't set up the way I thought it was going to. So, sorry about Ames. This is the roadmap. I think for a single season, it's pretty good, to be honest. We're going to go through each of the things and talk about each of them and talk about the things that I know about them and what I think of them, really. But I think it's a pretty good collection of things. And one of the biggest things that I like about this is it's not just new content, although there is a bunch of new content. It's much more like it's stuff that changes the way the game's played. And that's something that I think Warzone 1 ended up doing quite well, was the quality of life updates. That was much, much more interesting. That was much more exciting and ended up having a much bigger impact on the game than, for example, having a new map or getting a new gun or getting a new mode or stuff like that. Like the stuff where it's just like, it seems quite small, it seems like not a big deal, but it changes the way the game flows and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I think is really, really interesting and the stuff that's really worth looking at. So that's what we'll have a look at anyway. But I haven't actually, to be honest, I haven't actually read all the way through this. I just read the DMZ part. I made my video yesterday. So we can have a look at it. So the big sort of headline thing is Gunfight's back. Gunfight's coming back, which is exciting. There's going to be 4 maps for it, and we'll talk about that in a second. There's 3 6v6 maps coming. I think there's 2 at the beginning of the season, then 1 in the mid-season update, and 2 battle map, which means like ground war and invasion type things showing up. And the 6v6 maps, again, look kind of interesting. There's some stuff that makes them a bit more interesting than maybe it was before. There's also a new special ops mission, so that's the co-op mode, a 2-player co-op thing. So we're getting a new one of those called Defender Hafid Port. And then we are also getting a new raid episode, which I would assume is going to come mid-season, like both of the other ones have. So yeah, quite a lot of new stuff. And then within that, there's even more new stuff, some of which we can talk about. So Gunfight returns. This is something I'm super excited about. Like, Gunfight is something I really enjoyed in Modern Warfare 2019. I would say, like, obviously, if you're discounting Warzone, because it's kind of its own thing, then Gunfight was the thing I liked most about Modern Warfare 2019. I think it's a super interesting way to play Call of Duty. It's something that I hadn't really seen other games do before. But having this, like, 2v2 really tight, like, 40-second fights, where you don't get to choose your weapons or anything like that. Everything's equal because the enemy team have the same weapons and you swap sides and stuff like that. I just thought Gunfight was a genius addition. It was really, really good fun and almost definitely my favorite way to play multiplayer. So I'm super excited it's coming back. It's a shame it's taken this long, but I'm glad it's coming back. So it says small team multi-round cage matches. First duo to reach the round win limit is victorious. A contemporary classic from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 and a precursor to Call of Duty Warzone Gulag confrontations. Gunfight is the 4-player duo against duo game mode where random loadouts and small cage match style maps dictate tactical and fast-paced combat. For those unfamiliar with the mode, each round 2 duos spawn on either side of the map with the same random loadout. A duo wins a round when they reduce the opposing duo's health to 0, or, if this is not done before the round timer expires, the first duo who captures the overtime flag at the center of the map. Ties can occur if duos have the same health and the overtime flag is not captured at the end of a round's overtime period, at which point both duos will be rewarded a round win for scoring purposes. The first duo to win 6 rounds wins the match. That's awesome. That's just how Gunfight works. They haven't really changed it at all, which I don't think it needed to be changed. I think that's very cool. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of like the modes where you have to pick up the weapons while you're in it. What do you call it, like on-site procurement or something like that. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of stuff. I much prefer it like they give you loadout, you've got the same loadout. So it's just about like knowing how to use those guns, knowing how to like share information with your teammate, and try to work out how to take the enemy down. I think it's really cool, and it's just because they're so fast, there's not as much frustration as you get with games that take like 20-30 minutes, like Search and Destroy or something. So we've got a set of maps. We've got Alley is the first map, which looks pretty cool. It says set somewhere in the Al Mazrah region, looks like Akhtar Village. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. There's a weird, only just realized this, there's like a noose hanging down in the middle of it. That's a little bit weird, a little bit strange. Right, I can zoom in a little bit. Boop, there we go. Make it a bit bigger for you. But yeah, it looks very cool. So it looks like we've got walkways across the top, a bridge along there, some stairs. Like those stairs are going to be an absolute death trap, aren't they? It looks like everyone can see them. There's a ladder up there, so it looks like maybe even sort of a sniper position, and maybe you can hop up there as well. I'm guessing that's what that paint is signifying. But that looks very, very cool. You've also got Black Site. So this is a especially interesting thing because this is not only this gunfight map, this is actually the new Gulag. So this is the Gulag for Season 3. This is the Gulag from next Wednesday that we're going to see in Al Mazrah. So that's kind of interesting. And again, you can see here, like, these are kind of the edges of it. So this is kind of a long, narrow one. Rather than having a lot of the Gulag maps, I feel like, over the last few of them, have been kind of squares, where it's much more about, like, lateral movement, horizontal movement, and having lots of different options about how to push up, rather than having something like this, where it looks like it's potentially a 3-lane map. Essentially you've got like, you can go up the left here through these little buildings, almost like shooting range, or you can go on the right through the containers and stuff like that, or you can go in the middle through the building. That's kind of an interesting thing where you're going to obviously have to try and work out. One thing that's super interesting about this is that you can't shoot across because of this building being in the way. There's like really sort of blocked line of sight. So if you go this way and they come this way, you're just not going to see each other. And I think that's a cool design. That's an interesting design. It'll be interesting to see how this works out. So it's like very likely that you'll end up with people behind you and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. You've also got Shipment. It's the Shipment version that's, on the ship. It's just the Shipment map from multiplayer. So yeah, fair enough. And then also, this is the weirdest description in this patch. I don't know if in this blog post, I find this very strange. Exhibit. In addition, another gunfight locale among the core 4 locations to launch. That's it. It's just, in addition, there's another map. I was like, okay. Like, that's it. We don't have a screenshot. We don't have anything. So that seems very strange. And then it says, yeah, the OSP thing, the on-site procurement where you pick up guns, that's going to be available in regular playlist updates. It's going to happen later in the season. Fair enough. I love this picture. I don't know why. I saw this earlier. It's like, I'm definitely going to use this for a thumbnail. This is a very nice one. I'm actually going to save this right now because it's such a nice one. So that's very cool. So it says, in addition to the gunfight thing, gunfight OSP mode is coming. It's on-site procurement where you have to pick up weapons. So basically, I think you normally start literally with just fists, and then you have, like, there's pistols around you. But if you want to be braver and go towards the middle of the map, then you might be able to get, like, shotguns and assault rifles and things like that. Anyway, so then there's also 3 new core maps. So when I say core, I mean 6v6. So the first one is Paleo's Lighthouse. Someone said to me that, oh, this is from the campaign. But is it? I don't remember this building being the campaign. I know, like, they might be talking about the place in Spain, maybe, that you go to, because, like, I think there's a lighthouse in there, but I don't think this is that, is it? Like, I don't think this is that location, as far as I know. But it could be wrong. Could be wrong. Definitely easy. So correct me if I am. But I think this is a new map. Like, I think this is a new design. It looks very, very cool. It's like, obviously got a lot of verticality. It almost reminds me of some areas of like Rebirth Island more than anything, where you've got like the rocks around that sort of fall off quite quickly, and then you've got buildings at the top. But I'm intrigued to see how that plays. It'll be interesting to see whether you can go up the lighthouse, because that'll be like a kind of weird sniper spot up there if it's quite a small map. You've also got, it says nearby shipwrecks as well. Does that mean you can actually get onto shipwrecks? Maybe this is bigger than it looks. Then you've got Black Gold. So this is a really interesting one. This is taking place in the Rohan oil section of the Warzone map. But the big interesting thing about this is it is a night map. So this is something, again, we had it in Modern Warfare 2019. There was like a whole different section where like you had maps that took place at nighttime. Everyone gets given night vision goggles at the beginning, and when using them, you can only hip fire, blah, blah, blah. So we're getting something like that. So it says you have to use night vision goggles, use thermal optics, or use available light sources to their advantage to secure victory. And you can see there's some like more illuminated areas inside and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see, like, one thing I always thought they missed out on in Modern Warfare 2019 is that there wasn't that much of a reason for people to like not use the night vision goggles. There was never much of an incentive to not have them on all the time, and you get given them at the beginning, so it's super simple. So it basically just means instead of it being dark, just everything's blue or greenish. I think it would be cool if they had maybe, you know, like the fire bursts from the top of the flame stack, if that maybe blinded people who had their night vision goggles on, or if you went into those illuminated buildings, it was blinding, so you actually had a reason to turn them on or turn them off. I mean, I always thought it'd be cool if like the night vision goggles were something that, you know, you really had to work for. Like maybe in multiplayer have it so it takes the place of your primary weapon or something like that. So you have to just use a pistol if you're using night vision goggles. I just like there to be a little bit more balance to it in terms of it being a risk reward type thing about whether you want to use the night vision goggles or not. But we'll see how it goes anyway. I think that's pretty cool. It looks good. I'd said before when we did the video about the trailer that I was like, oh, this lighthouse map doesn't look dark at all when they said it's a nighttime map. And it's like, okay, now this is the nighttime map. This is the dark one. So that's cool. Thanks for subscribing, David. Or Dave, sorry. And then we have Rohan Oil as a battle map. Fair enough. It's just that area from Rohan Oil. I think there are some small differences with this. Like there's a couple of bits that look a tiny bit different, but it's basically the same thing. Rohan Oil is a cool area to fight about, so I've got no problem with that. We've got Satik Caves. Satik Caves definitely looks different. Like that pipe, is that there in the multiplayer? But yeah, so this looks quite different, I think. And obviously it's got the area that is kind of Afghan, but it's also a bit bigger. Looks like it probably won't have many vehicles and stuff like that in this one, because it doesn't look like there's much space to drive around, but we'll see. So a couple of new battle maps, fine. I don't really play about the ground war invasion very much, so I won't really see them very much. Then we've got another 6v6 map. This is one that looks a bit more to me like the multiplayer map almost, where you got that lighthouse on the hill and you got this big sort of industrial building, and those buildings, you know, where you used to have to climb on the roof and then throw stuff through these little vents. That's what that looks like to me. But this is Alboran Hatchery, and that's going to come in the mid-season update. So we know we're getting a 6v6 map, and we know it's a new map. The fact that we're getting 3 maps this season and they're all new, they're not like remakes, I think is a good thing. I'm happy about that. I really like that so many leaks that I'd been sent about this season were wrong. Like I think all of them. I don't think all of the stuff that's like interesting in this season, I didn't have spoiled for me by people sending me leaks on YouTube or on Twitter. And all of the leaks where people did try to spoil stuff for me were wrong. There were so many people saying like, oh, Afghan's coming back. And it's like, no, it isn't. This is like a ground war map. But people are like, oh, it's an Afghan 6v6 map. And it's just like, no, it's not. And then people were wrong about what Black Cell is. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I was just really happy about it. Yeah. I'm always happy when the leaks are wrong. Anyway, then there's some new modes. So they said there, along with the fan favorite playlists and rotations that feature Season 3's new maps, you can expect some returning modes to be coming. So we're getting Cranked, which is that thing where after you kill someone, you then have a timer starting on you and you've got to kill someone else, otherwise you explode. Oh, thank you for giving a like, Robert. Yeah, if everyone can give a like, that is much appreciated. Yeah, Cranked is fun. Like, it's actually a fun mode. It's a lot of the limited time 6v6 modes I don't really care about. But Cranked is genuinely a laugh. I don't mind that. Oh, and you get like double time and fast hand perks. You get faster when you're cranked, which is good. There's also Face Off, which is a small 3v3 mode. So it's a bit like, I guess, a bit like Gunfight in some ways. But like a cross between Gunfight and normal multiplayer. So that's kind of interesting. I don't really know much about that. And then Ground War Infected. I love this screenshot. It's another very good screenshot for Call of Duty. But basically, it's Infected, but on the ground war maps with lots of players. So that's a lot of fun. I think that's very cool. And it's saying there that you can get kill streaks and stuff like that. They did this in Modern Warfare 2019. It was a lot of fun, so I'm happy for them to do all of that stuff. Then we've got some new multiplayer ranked play rewards because they're changing that every season. Like they're changing the way all of that works. So you can see there, you've got some new charms. I personally don't care about charms. The blueprint's kind of all right if you're into ranked play, I guess, but I don't care about that too much. But yeah, there's some stuff. I don't care about it at all, but it's fine. It says there, ranked play rewards are earned based on whatever your best rank was. So don't worry if you got carried up only to fall back, and that's fine. I'm still in bronze. I've not played any more ranked since I did it on, like when I started playing a little bit on stream the other day. And now, you know, I might play some over the weekend, but I can't imagine I'm going to get very far out of bronze. I wouldn't mind getting one of the ranked skins, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it happens. And then some stuff coming mid-season. So we've got new core map coming. We've also got special ops with a new mission and a new raid thing. The mission's going to take you going, says, operates taking on the Las Almas cartel somewhere in Almanzora. It said Huffy Port earlier. But anyway, in an all-out fight for survival. So Defender 1, I imagine it'll be like the Observatory Defender mission. I imagine it'll be the same sort of thing where, you know, you have to defend 3 locations from waves of enemies coming in. That, to be honest, is probably the mission that I find the most replayable. It's like kind of fun. It's not very interesting though. I think Special Ops is kind of not done very well, maybe. I never hear anyone talking about it, and that's a shame. But yeah, there is something else coming out. And, you know, the Special Ops Stars thing, I think, is just annoying because it's just something that makes people not want to do the raid because they're like, oh, I haven't ranked up my different classes and stuff, which is annoying. And then there's the next episode of The Raid, where operators continue Task Force 141 story, and that's going to get released with the mid-season update. Again, The Raid, personally, I don't think the raids have been very good. There's been like a couple of cool ideas within them. Whoever's doing the like design of the encounters, I think, is cool. Like the jumping puzzle in the last one, the bit where like one person has to run through while 2 other people defend and open buttons and stuff. I thought that was quite cool. It's like stuff that I haven't really seen in other games, which I really, really like. In the first one, you had like the underwater tunnels. I thought that was a cool idea. And, you know, the puzzles were, the code puzzle was okay, but not amazing. But it's like, the big problem to me is like the framing of the raids, that it's just not interesting. Like, I don't find it interesting to be going through a bunker. Like a missile silo. I just haven't found that interesting at any point. The story seems to be, you know, like, hey, we're going into a silo to see if there's a warhead here. Like, oh, we need to keep on seeing if there's a warhead. Like, oh, there's not a warhead. They took the warhead. And it's like, okay. I assume the next raid will be somewhere else because they got to the top of the silo in the last one. It would be kind of silly if the next raid is also there. So a new location might kind of reinvigorate my interest in this, maybe a little bit, but I thought it was, yeah, not particularly interesting, which is a little bit of a shame. It looks like he's got a Triforce on the back of his hand there. When I can zoom in. No, too much. Too much. Can't do it. But yeah, that's yeah, hopefully the location is more interesting. Hopefully. So, then it says Warzone 2 overview. So let's get on to the Warzone stuff, the good stuff. So we have, first of all, massive resurgence. This sounds kind of cool. It's resurgence on Al Mazrah. The player count is increased to fit Al Mazrah, so prepare to take on dozens of duos or other squad sizes depending on the weekly playlist offering. So I thought this was interesting where it talks about the weekly playlist offering, as in resurgence on Al Mazrah is going to stay, but it'll be, you know, 1 week it'll be solos, 1 week it'll be duos, 1 week it'll be trios, that kind of thing. That sounds really cool. Resurgence is a really fun mode to play if like you're not taking Call of Duty too seriously. You don't want it to be super frustrated. I think that's awesome. That'll be a lot of fun. Like Resurgence on Caldera was like probably my favorite mode on that, so that was really good. Plunder is arriving in season, so it's not arriving on Wednesday, but it is coming. I don't know. It doesn't actually say mid-season. It says in season, so I don't quite know when this is coming. Sometime in the next month, I guess. But yeah, it sounds like it's exactly the same as what it was before. It doesn't seem to say anything has changed particularly. I think like maybe, you know, they might have had some little tweaks with it, but I haven't heard anything. It'd be cool if maybe if they still had the backpacks in Battle Royale, then you could do stuff like finding items and stuff like in DMZ. But it doesn't seem to be happening. Anyway, Seems pretty cool. Obviously a good way to level up your weapons. You can get some camo challenges done and stuff like that, especially people who don't own Modern Warfare 2, so they can't play Ground War. That seems like a really good idea. Then there's the new Gulag, which we've already talked about a little bit, so that's fine. It says the Black Site Gulag's current location is redacted. Fair enough. I don't think there's anything else there. Oh, it says this is known as a Black Site, which is separate from the Black Site. Yeah, they mentioned this a little bit in a creator call that like there's a weird kind of annoying quirk of the naming that they've called this new map Black Site when they already have something in Warzone called Black Site. So that's very confusing. But anyway, new and returning features to Battle Royale. They've got this skin is being shown off a little bit. There's a lot of this triangle. Like this is being shown off quite a lot. I don't know what it is. But you know, that skin's kind of cool. It's another nuke skin type thing. It says adjust your personal meta accordingly. Warzone 2 is getting some new features across all of its modes. So it's getting the redeploy drones in Al Mazrah. That's going to massively change the game. I don't know if it's for the better or the worse yet, like having these redeploy drones everywhere. It's something where in Caldera, it's fun to use, but as with a lot of the things that we talk about, it's fun to use for you and drop in on an enemy squad and take them out. It's not a lot of fun when someone drops in on you. You know, you're rezzing someone and then someone who just happened to have seen your firefight from a long way away drops in almost like without any noise and takes you out. It's like, that's very frustrating. So, you know, we'll see how it plays. It'll definitely change up the map, especially the city and all the rooftops and stuff like that. Because it'll be so much easier to get up them. So yeah, that'll be kind of interesting. And then it says tempered plate carriers. So tempered plates is something, again, that we had in Caldera where you only have 2 half bars, which means you still have the same amount of armor, but you can fill it up much, much faster, and you need to use less plates to fill it up. So that's always a good thing. UAV towers is something that we have in DMZ where you can just go interact with a UAV tower and then it will like ping around a location. That's super useful. And it's also kind of an interesting balance thing because it's like, you can see if enemy players have activated UAV tower. And in DMZ, we often use that to be like, oh, do you want to go fight some players? Let's go kill those guys. They just activated a UAV tower. And it's like, you know, it means that they're going to know kind of roughly where you are. But if you can go in fast or you can snipe them from out of the range of the UAV tower, you're fine. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting thing. It's got that risk reward thing that I very much like. Then it says more to come at mid-season, including decontamination stations. So I guess decontamination stations are like the PDS things that we had from Caldera. Never really used them that much except in the final circle. In the final circle, it's quite useful. And you can use them to res people, I guess. So if someone's down in the gas, you can throw down a PDS, res them, and then get them up. So that's going to come at some point. And then there's so much stuff in this. Perk package items. So this is something that's going to be able to be found in supply boxes, and basically you're going to be able to pick up perks. So you can grab them, which is pretty cool. And it says that it helps Warzone operators who opt not to obtain a loadout drop to be on the same level as those who do. I don't think I've ever seen it like confirmed that perks that you pick up back in Warzone 1 definitely were in addition to the perks you had. There always seemed to be a little bit of confusion about what actually overwrote a perk, what replaced a perk, and what added an extra perk. So it'll be interesting to see if these are like on top of the ones you get in your loadout, or whether they just get replaced, so you still just have one in each slot. I've got no idea how that's going to work. Deployable buy station is saying the deployable buy station is going to come at some point, and so that's something that you'll be able to, you know, take in with you and throw in a final circle. There always seems to be a lack of buy stations in Al Mazrah and Ashika Island, to be fair. So it'd be kind of useful to have those back, I think. I find them super useful for buying revives. Like, super useful to be able to keep a deployable buy station. Then someone on your team goes down, just be able to buy them back straight away. That's amazing. And then the Gulag entry kit, which is a bit like, you know, the redeploy token, but it means that you can go back into the Gulag. So an extra Gulag token. Fine. So again, this is all stuff that we had kind of in Caldera that worked really well. So I'm not surprised. Then we get to DMZ. Now, if you want a like super deep dive into DMZ, we do have, I did do a video yesterday where we talked about all this stuff. Sorry, just finishing off some of my smoothie. I made a delicious smoothie this morning. So yeah, lots of stuff coming to DMZ. I mean, they're actually doing a blog before season 3 comes out, so not too long to wait. And you'll get even more information than what's listed here. But there's a kind of overview of some of the cool features that come into DMZ. If you want to see my video about all of this stuff, that's a very good video. It's doing quite well, which I'm very happy about. But we can talk about it here, and if people have questions about this stuff, I'm happy to answer them or chat about them, or let me know your thoughts on all of this stuff. Let me know your thoughts on all of these Season 3 updates. I will read through chat after I've got to the end. So if you've got any questions or you've got like thoughts on it, opinions on it, I'm more than happy to do that. So we have the barter system. This is pretty cool. So it's like basically in a buy station, you're going to be able to swap items for something else. I'm not sure if I made this very clear in my video because someone in the comments got the wrong end of stick and thought that other players were leaving items there that you could then pick up. It's not like that at all. It's nothing to do with other players. It's just there's like the trader interfaces with you through buy stations, and he will say, or I mean, I say he will say, it'll just be a menu. The menu will say, hey, do you want a gold skull? Well, if you swap 4 gold bars, then you can get a gold skull. Or it will say, hey, do you want a blowtorch? If you can swap a car battery and 3 screwdrivers and some jumper leads, then we'll give you a blowtorch. I don't actually know what the item combinations will be like, but it's that sort of thing where it's just like you can get some of the rarer, more useful items in the game that you need for missions and stuff like that in exchange for swapping some of the maybe more common items in the game. Which just means that if you hit a buy station, then it's like, and you're looking for a blowtorch, and then you see that, then you can be like, okay, so now when I'm looting, I can either look for a blowtorch or I can look for car batteries, jumper cables, and stuff like that and get them. So I think that's a really good idea. That sounds very, very cool. Affa's just said the YouTube iOS app has enabled pinch to zoom up to 8 times on videos. I didn't know that. That's very cool. That'll go well with my lovely crisp 1440p thing. Is this really live? No, Zach Ferguson. This is all... I'm pre-recorded all of this. I just knew you were going to say that just then. And then the workbench. Another major addition to DMZ is the workbench, which can be found near buy stations and allows you to modify contraband weapons. So this, again, very cool. The workbench is going to be near buy stations. So wherever you find a buy station, somewhere nearby, there'll be a workbench as well. And the idea is that you will be able to you modify your contraband weapons that you have on you, and you'll be able to say like, okay, I want to add a suppressor to this, or I want to add a scope to this, or whatever, or I want to remove this like extended mag or whatever. And then you'll be able to do that. Cheers, Zach. You'll be able to do that kind of just paying a bit of money for it at the workbench. I think this is really cool. There's loads of times when I pick up a gun that seems really good. Sometimes, another player's gun. Sometimes just a gun off the bots. And it's like, oh, this would be great if it had a bloody suppressor, because otherwise all the bots know that you're there. So you'll just be able to constantly, pick up whatever guns, add a suppressor to it, and you'll be good to go. I'm kind of tempted. I've been playing with the idea of seeing how much I can do next season of DMZ, like Season 3 of DMZ, and just not use insured weapons. Because I've always been saying insured weapons, I think, kind of ruin a bit of DMZ. They ruin a bit of the excitement of it. I kind of just want to use contraband, and especially with this now, it's like it makes the contraband weapons much more exciting. So, yeah, I think it'd be fun to do that. Yeah, Affers, that's what I was talking about in the video that I put out yesterday, that when COD Next was on and all of those creators got to play an early version of Warzone 2, there was a menu in the buy station that said attachments. And it was grayed out, no one could use it. But this sounds like this is what it was, that they had this plan for you being able to change attachments for a cost, like on the fly when you're in the game. And I think that's very cool. Then there's also this. This is an awesome idea. And this is something that I hadn't heard anyone mention at all before. And now that they've talked about it, I'm like, oh my God, this is such a good idea. Like, this is genius. So, active duty slots. Basically, now you're going to have different characters in DMZ. And each one has their own kind of personal loadout, which is basically your plate vest, kill streaks, backpack, gas mask, and self-revive, and their own dog tags, so their own exfil streak. And this means, basically, if you don't want to go in and risk all of your stuff because you just want to do something small, you just want to check something out, you just want to help a friend or something, you can then pick a different duty slot, and then that character won't affect the first one. So say you're on a really good streak, you've got a free plate, you've got a backpack, you've got a kill streak, you've got a self-revive, all of that good stuff on one character. And then a friend comes on who's never played DMZ before, and it's like, hey, do you want to just like mess around and stuff like that? You can just be like, yeah, I'll just hop onto a different character and then mess around, play with that. And then that's not breaking your streak. You're not losing the stuff that you had. I think it's awesome. And I think there's going to be a lot of kind of, even just when you don't fancy doing missions, if you just fancy messing around DMZ, get all of your duty slots filled up, you know, get a duty slot, go in, get the backpack, get the kill streak, get the plate carrier, all of that stuff, then get out, and then load up another duty slot and do the same thing again. Get your regains ready. And it's going to be really useful for, like, say when me and Flynn have had frustrations of, like, doing missions in Building 21, where we have to do it with a quite strict time limit, and then every time we die, we have to then go and do a regain, you know, somewhere else, or go into Building 21 with nothing. Instead, we could have, like, it looks like you can have 4 duty slots in total. They haven't said how you unlock the 4th one yet. But, like, you could have 4 characters ready to go, built up, and then you could just keep on going in, like, keep on trying. You got 4 retries, which I think is absolutely awesome. I think that's very cool. So, yeah, sounds very good. Was there anything else? No. Oh, there's a new faction, Redacted, which is a bit weird that they're just called Redacted. Again, a bit confusing, like calling the other thing Black Site. I don't know who's naming this stuff at Call of Duty, but it seems like a very strange idea to me. But Redacted is coming, so that's nice. We've got a new faction. At the beginning of Season 3, we'll have 3 mission tiers, so you'll be able to do Tier 1, 2, 3, and then at Season 3 Reloaded, you'll be able to do 4 and 5. So that sounds very cool. Also says there's some new and remixed missions. I'm not really sure what this means. Does it mean they're talking about the new missions for Redacted? When I say remixed missions, does this mean some of the missions for Redacted are going to be some of those missions that we did have previously in Season 1 that got taken away, like the, you know, horrible long snipe one and stuff like that? Absolutely no idea how that's going to work. Or are they actually going to change a few of the missions in for the other factions? I've got no idea. You know, it'd be nice if they did stuff like that Building 21 one where you've got to get 9 dog tags. It'd be nice if they put that down to 7 dog tags. Stuff like that would be cool. And then there's also a new contract, which is a specific regain contract, which is secure supplies. And it says, which flags containers in the exclusion zone with essential gear. So basically, I'm guessing there'll be plate vests and backpacks and stuff like that, and their self-revives. So it sounds like, okay, you go in, if you're doing a regain, you can just head straight to that contract, find a container, and it'll have all the stuff you want. I think that sounds pretty cool. That sounds pretty good. Someone was just saying, Gino Saputo was just saying, great addition to DMZ, but I'm still looking for some extra risk involved since regaining is pretty easy still. Yeah, I mean, I've said repeatedly that I think it would be better, it would be advantageous if they... Sorry, I just realized my bitrate just dropped colossally and I've got no real idea why that's happening. Apologies for that. But yeah, it should be at 10,000. God knows what's going on. If the quality's gone down, I'm sorry. If, like, they made the insured weapons, I think they could put those timers back up. With all of these changes to contraband weapons and stuff, I think they could put those timers back up. So it's like your first insured weapon is like 2 hours, and then the next one's 4 hours, and the next one's 6 hours, like it was in Season 1. I think that would be maybe a good idea. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Then it's also new bosses. I don't know anything about this. This is one of those things where they didn't mention any of this in the creators call about the new bosses. But apparently we get new bosses. It says with new threats across the various exclusion zones, as there's not 1 but 2 bosses that Intel suggests are redacted. Intel also suggests that deep underground in Al-Mazrah there is redacted. So whatever that is, that's probably the thing that we're going to go in and have a look at when the Season 3 goes live, is trying to work out what this deep underground thing is. Not really sure if that's going to be something at launch or if that's going to be something in the middle of it. But 2 new bosses, that's cool. Maybe it's just in those tunnels that they opened up last time. Then we've got World Series of Warzone. That's starting up again. So they're going to do a blog about that. I think there is a separate blog that's just about that. So World Series of Warzone's happening. It's going to have like open brackets and all stuff like that, which is very cool. Warzone Ranked Play is coming some point. Again, another good thumbnail screenshot. You're going to see this in a lot of thumbnails, I think. But yeah, Warzone Ranked Play is coming. It's mid-season, so we've got a month to wait, but that's better than we thought. I think I expected there to be quite a long wait for Warzone Ranked. I didn't expect it until Season 4, but it looks pretty cool. That looks like a special version of Riot Shield. Does it? No, yeah, the enemies have some slightly different riot shields. It's got like a battery on it, doesn't it? And a button. I wonder what that is. I wonder if it's something like, you know, Blitz's riot shield in Rainbow Six Siege where it flashes you or something like that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know. It's got lots of explosive things, so it looks like it's kind of, if you can get around his massive riot shield, then you can shoot the explosives on him to damage him. That would be kind of cool. But yeah, no idea. Anyway, I think that, like, yeah, Warzone ranked, I'm excited, but obviously it's not coming for another month, so I'm not like too into it right now. I think they did say in this that it's yeah, get to practicing in trios. So it sounds like, yeah, it's a true test for trios. It's going to be groups of 3. Oh, assemble the trio as well. Going to be groups of 3 for that. So maybe I need to sort of make a Warzone like team. I don't know. Do I need to make like a regular team to start playing with, to start practicing for this? With Warzone ranked, I think in my head, if I can get to gold, I'll be fairly happy. Like if I can get ranked as gold in Warzone ranked, I'll be fairly happy. But yeah, so that's all of that stuff. And then we also have, you know, oh yeah, the new operators. Alejandro, Valeria, more operators coming apparently. So some extra people. I don't know who that's meant to be. New sniper rifle, the Intervention, which is now called the Imperium. I don't know. Is that exciting? I don't know. I don't really know why it would be exciting, but fine. Cronin Squall is a new battle rifle. I've hated battle rifles so far, so I'm not excited about that really. Then 2 new sidearms, both fully automatic. So one of them's a machine pistol and one of them's a high caliber pistol. But yeah, those are coming in season, so I'm guessing a mid-season update. It's interesting actually, like, this isn't something that was talked about in a creator call at all. But why would they be doing for the mid-season update 2 pistols? Do you think that's going to tie into something? Like, do you think that's going to be like a John Wick operator skin or a Nicolas Cage and Face Off operator skin or like a John Woo movie event or something like that? Like, I didn't even think of that until just now. The idea of there being 2 pistols for a thing. Like, that would make sense if, like, you had a character that is famous for using pistols or something like that. That'd be cool. Agent 47 from Hitman, something like that. Have the baller pistol. Maybe that could be the high caliber pistol. But it's kind of interesting. And then, oh, the trophy hunt event. So this sounds kind of cool. During the event, every player drops a trophy whenever they're killed in any mode. So this is multiplayer. This is Warzone. This is DMZ. Trophies get dropped, and you can also get them by opening supply boxes and stuff. And then in the events tab, you'll be able to spend those trophies on things. So weapon blueprints, vehicle skins, battle pass token skips, and operator skins and stuff. So this sounds like a fun idea. Like, I think that's cool. You get tokens, you spend them on stuff. Fine. All good. And then there's also going to be another camo event like the Ronin camo challenge. And then there's Black Cell. Now, Black Cell, I don't like the way they've marketed this, whatever you want to call it, the way they've revealed this. And the logo looks a bit like the Bitcoin logo. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of this. Mostly, like, the actual thing itself, I don't care about. It's fine. Like, I don't mind it. I'm not, like, opposed to this thing existing. It's just, like I said at the beginning, when they had that trailer and they put Black Cell at the end, and it was like, oh, what is it? You know, is it a new mode? Is it something really cool? And then it's like, it's essentially just a new way of buying a bundle. It's just a new bundle, essentially. I don't care. And it's like they've made all of these cool graphics for it. They've made all this stuff that looks really nice for it because obviously they want you to spend it. They want you to feel like it's like the premium thing. But it's like, does it matter? It's not an exciting thing. For the sort of people that care about a Call of Duty Season 3 trailer, for the sort of people that are like, make news about this sort of stuff and creators that make videos about this stuff, they knew this isn't what we expected it to be. This isn't what anyone wanted it to be. It's kind of annoying. So Black Cell is essentially a new Battle Pass offering. It's replacing the bundle, the Battle Pass bundle. You know, at the moment you can buy a Battle Pass bundle where you get the Battle Pass and you also get like an extra 20 tier skips or something. And in the past, you also used to get like an extra operator skin with it. It's that, but you get more and it costs more money. And you can't buy it with COD points. So the regular Battle Pass is still available. It's not changing anything like that. But this is a $30 bundle. So what's that like? $30 is like 3,000 COD points, is it? Something like that. But you can't like buy it using COD points. You have to spend real money. So I guess this will be a way of them making money, because I'm sure there's lots of people who just buy the Battle Pass and then every season just buy the next Battle Pass using the points they had from the previous one. I'm sure that's a thing a lot of people do. So this will encourage people to actually spend money. So you get a bunch of stuff in it. So assuming that this is 3,000 COD points, I don't really know how that works out. But you get the Battle Pass in it. You get 20 tier skips, so like the bundle did before, you get an extra 5 on PlayStation for whatever reason. You get 1,100 COD points immediately, which is a kind of awkward number. You know, it's not enough to buy even the cheaper bundles. You know, you could buy the cheapest, very cheapest weapon blueprint bundles, but you can't buy any of the operator skin bundles with that. So you get an awkward number of COD points. It's going to mean you're going to want to buy more. You also get 1,400 COD points awarded throughout the Battle Pass, which does mean if you got all of the COD points from this, so you completed the Battle Pass and you got the ones included, then you would be able to buy a bundle with this. So you're basically getting 2,500 COD points worth of stuff for something that costs about the same as 3,000 COD points. So if you kind of ignore what you could have done with the Battle Pass before, you're actually like, this isn't a bad way to buy COD points because you get a bunch of extra stuff with it. But whether that's worth it to you or not, I don't know. You get a Black Cell operator attired in an imposing animated camo skin, which I don't think, have they shown it off? Did they show it off on this? 0101 1940. That's when I was born. 1st of January 1940. There we go. Yeah, so they have shown it off here. Okay, you're not gonna... Okay, fine. So this is like the animated skin. It's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know if I'd actually use this. But you can see like his mask sort of changes from gold to black. Fine. Like, okay. It's like, it's an okay skin. I don't think it's the coolest thing ever, but it's like, it's fine. You get a pro-tuned weapon blueprint. I don't know how much people really care about the tunings, but that is a thing. Oh yeah, it does say a Black Cell operator. It doesn't say an operator skin, so it might mean they have their own voice lines and stuff. That's a good point, Kennel. I didn't really think about that. And then you also have a vehicle skin, which again, have they not shown off what the vehicle skin is? I won't say anything if they haven't shown it off. And a finishing move. They also have an exclusive Black Cell sector within the Battle Pass, serves as an alternative starting location. So I imagine there's probably like a starting location on Battle Pass, because you know you have to like take a route through the Battle Pass. It's probably one that's like next to the sniper rifle or something like that, isn't it? It'll be like next to one of the things that's good on a Battle Pass, so you can unlock that quicker. Especially because you're going to get 20 tier skips included. So it'll be like, oh, you can unlock both of the guns straight away or something like that. And then immediate unlocking of adjacent Battle Pass sectors to the Battle Pass sector, and some Battle Pass only content. So every Season 3 Battle Pass sector with an operator skin has a Black Cell variant. So basically, every time you get a skin in the Battle Pass, an operator skin, you also get a Black Cell one. So you'll get 12 extra skins in total, which is pretty cool. So it's saying there, the Battle Pass update, now you can automatically unlock stuff if you want to, because apparently lots of people didn't do that. They're adding a recruiter friend thing where there's some weird rules about that, but you get some blueprints and stuff like that if you convince someone to make a Warzone account. Some new prestige levels and challenges. This is weird. This is another thing they didn't talk about in the Creator Call at all. Discord integration. I don't know how it's going to work. Is it just going to be that like you can invite people a bit easier with Discord, but you can already do that? So I don't know. I don't know what that's going to be, but that's kind of interesting. Anyway, that's everything for Season 3. So there's going to be lots of patch notes available next week, and then I'll be able to talk to you about even more stuff that's coming in Season 3 that we're not allowed to talk about yet. So very excited about that. Make sure you subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm going to hop off now and go switch over to a DMZ stream. So I'm going to end this stream. It should automatically reroute you to the next one. And I'll be back live in literally like 1 minute. So thank you to everyone who's watched the podcast. If you want to see live recordings of this, youtube.com/Geeky Pastimes every weekday morning at 9 a.m. British time. And I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.